we all agree that parents have a very big influence or identity, especially then when your parent is a famous person, because it's really hard to find your way, place, and gain your own reputation. To be a child of famous person is really stressful because people always compare kids to their parents and they always expect them as successful as their kids were, as their parents were. And they often criticize and disappoint them, which is absolutely wrong. Some children try to idolize their parents and try to follow in their footsteps. I think that is quite controversial because children might reach success or totally opposite. They might get in the shadow of their parents and even lose their identity, which is absolutely crucial for a person. Sometimes children develop a complex and sense of insecurity. Uh, but there are also some kids who don't have any reactions about it, and they just simply don't get influenced. My mom is not a celebrity, but she's pretty famous in this society where I spend most of the time. I have heard from people that it's very hard and stressful when your parent is a teacher in your school. They say that you usually don't feel free to do something because teachers and parents are always controlling you, and that is very uncomfortable. But since I have experienced all those things, I really have to disagree with the idea that having a parent as a teacher in your school is bad. Well, yes, it has its advantages and disadvantages, of course. Most of the kids don't like when their parents are attending the lessons, or, for example, when they're going on a school trip with them. But trust me, if you are a playful, frolicsome kid like I was in my elementary school, it is the worst thing to have a parent in your school. But today, I'm not gonna talk about the disadvantages of that. On the contrary, I'm gonna discuss benefits and advantages of it. When I was in kindergarten, I was delighted that my mom was a teacher at school. Sometimes she even took me to school, and I was super happy and excited about that. I used to meet her students, teachers, and all those new people, and I totally loved the situation. Then I would tell many things about and stories about our school to my friends, and I was really proud and I knew something about our school. When I was in the secondary school, I enjoyed my life. I enjoyed the fact that my mom was a teacher in my school. But unfortunately, back then I couldn't realize and understand many things. But now I'm pretty sure and believe that all my good habits and skills are mostly because of my mom. Yeah, I can think of many examples how it affected my personality. And when people say that I'm happy that my mom is not a teacher because it's very stressful and demanding, I just don't agree with them. At that age, the most priority to me was to have fun and hang out with my friends. But to be honest, I was a kid and I didn't even have many opportunities and freedom. So my mom must have known where, when, and with whom I was going. And that was really annoying. But luckily, my mom was a teacher in my school. So she knew all of my friends and their moms. So she always let me go with my friends. I used to finish school early and I had to wait for my mom sometimes. And yeah, that was not a great experience, but you can get benefits from any situation, right? So I was attending her lessons, but most of the time I was not listening to her because my own lessons were already enough for me. But when I was listened, they were quite interesting and surprising. Sometimes I try to remember what was discussed on the lesson, and once I remember she was talking about Wajab Shavel associate guest, and I liked the lesson so much that I went to the theater with her 3 times, and then I was 11 years old. So attending her lessons was educational, and also I met her students, so that fact really helped me to become more sociable and friendly. As I mentioned, my mom is not a celebrity, but every teacher knows her at school. So every teacher knew me. So when I was with my friends in school, hanging out with them, talking, sitting, and laughing, and teachers were coming to me and saying, "Hi, Sandro, how are you?" and that kind of stuff. I was super happy and content. And not gonna lie, I thought I was a celebrity because I was a kid. Also, when I was a kid, I was not good at lying. But when I was in school, I didn't even had a chance to lie because my mom worked as a teacher there, so there was no point lying. And I think that's the main reason why I never lie. The fact uh, really helped me to become more punctual because every morning my mom used to wake me up very early to not be late for school. But now I always wake up by myself and always try to be on time everywhere, not only for school, even when my friends and I go out. I always try to be on time and never be late. So I think punctuality is the skill that everyone needs to work on because we will definitely need it in the future. I was a teacher's son, so I always had to complete the homework. As I mentioned above, I couldn't realize and understand many things, but the fact that my mom worked as a teacher there really helped me to become more responsible. And now I always do my homeworks and assignments. And responsibility is the skill that everyone needs to have because especially at our ages, because we need to work very hard and be super responsible to achieve success in the future. And this period of our time will affect us and our future as well. My mom is a Georgian literature teacher, so this means that I must be very strong and good at Georgian. And I think it will be safe to say that I lived up to the expectations. But it works for all students whose teacher is a parent, whose parent is a teacher. Uh, mm, so based on this assumption, having a parent as a teacher is really good, but it must be much better if your both parents were teachers. But unfortunately, my dad is a doctor, so that doesn't work for me. Having a parent as a teacher is in your school is bad, demanding, stressful, uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is popular and common. That idea is really popular and common. But I think today I proved with my real life examples that it is not like that. And on the contrary, it's quite beneficial and helpful. So I think and I hope I gain my own reputation at school. But I can say that my mom helped me a lot to achieve that goal. But I'm still glad that they know me as Alexander Gadelia and not as son of Tamar Lomidze. Thank you for your attention.